Well, good afternoon and welcome back to Hooke Court. Well, this is our last afternoon. This is the end of our time as living as Celts. Chris, you've been here since Tuesday morning, living as a Celt. How do you feel now?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't relieved. So there is certainly a degree of relief in having managed to get through the week, because there are a few things that I'm quite looking forward to tonight. But also, I do, tinged with a bit of sadness. It's a shame that the experience is coming to an end. I think that we have been quite lucky, both with the weather, both in terms of the assistance that we've had, both from the children and from our own staff that work here. So I think we've been lucky. I'm relieved that we've got to the end, and it has been, in my view, quite a successful experience.
I mean, we are very lucky because we've got such a big site and also big staff, and very clever staff too. But Richard, you've been here as well. How you enjoyed it?
Oh, undoubtedly, there've been a lot of challenges, but the overall feeling is one of fulfilment. We haven't managed to finish all the jobs that we started, but I guess that's the way life would have been.
So why not, Richard? Why haven't we been able to finish the job?
I think probably because what I've discovered most is what an incredibly intense existence it must have been just to live day to day. I made a joke with some of the schools who'd come in when they were milling the corn for us that it really is the daily grind. Spending half a day milling corn to get the flour to make the bread, let alone collecting the wood and keeping the fire going. We've been very lucky that the wood has actually been provided for us. We haven't had to go out into the fields and get some of the materials that we've used. They've been brought to us. Otherwise, it would have taken us probably a month to achieve what we've achieved.
So yeah, I mean, we actually used a lot of resources, a lot of materials. So where do they all come from, Chris?
Well, as Richard said, we're lucky in that we've managed to resource most of what we've got, or most of what we've used here from the grounds themselves. So, our fencing, our hazel fencing, all of that hazel was harvested from the coppiced areas that we've got on the site here, and it's quite lucky really, because I was surprised at just how much hazel we would have to collect, have to harvest in order to make the relatively small areas of fencing that we have made. I was also surprised at the length of time that it would have taken to have done that. It took far longer for the hazel to be collected, and as you said, we didn't have to do that part. Had we been in a situation where we would have had to have harvested that hazel and then brought the hazel back to the site here, then used the hazel to make the fencing, you're looking at probably another 150, 160%, 175%, 200% more time than it actually took us. And so just, the advantage of being able to do that, or to get our own staff to do that on our site, has been a real bonus. Other things, even down to resourcing some of our foodstuffs locally. We didn't harvest at all, but the foodstuffs that we've been using. So our deer was a relatively local kill. The trout came from here in the village.
The milk came from the farm.
The milk that we've been using. Admittedly, we have had to process some of our own resources, like the corn. But again, it's just we've been doing a small snapshot of everyday living, and had we had to do the whole thing, I think everything just would have taken infinitely longer than I was anticipating in the first instance.
I think one of the things that interested me is that quite a few things that we are touching on in other programs, some of our forest school work, some of our work with food and farming, all that those sort of skills, those sort of contacts. Like we normally take children to the track farm, we take children to see the farm, to see the cows being milked. So all that's been able to be brought into those resources, bushcraft, all that sort of stuff is part of what we normally do, but it's actually come into this programme, which has been very good indeed.
It's very enriching, isn't it, for all the programmes to meet in that way and share those skills.
Well, I think we've had, and we haven't had an awful lot of time in between the activities and in between working with the various groups. But I think I speak for myself, and I'm sure I speak for the rest of you when I say that each of us brought our own skills to the table, and our skills that we brought with us were quite specific to some of the activities here, and it made me think a little bit about the various roles that people might well have had within Celtic society. Now, our tribe of three oldish men.
Tribe of elders.
Well, I was going to say,
Older as the week went on, I tell you.
but I think, our small tribe of three men isn't enough for us to have survived in one place. Maybe if we were moving around as hunter-gatherers, then we may have been able to be successful as a group of three. But unless you were organised into a much larger society, then we just physically wouldn't have had enough time to do the things we want to do. I know yesterday we all had to skip lunch because, as it was, there wasn't anybody and there wasn't enough time for lunch to be prepared by anybody.
Yeah.
Maybe with better organisation in the second week we might well have slipped into different roles to the ones that we adopted for ourselves. So I think reflecting, yes, we've been lucky in that the weather was kind to us. I can't have imagined having to spend a wet month doing this.
It's bad enough with one day, wasn't it?
Yeah, one bad day and a couple of cold evenings and a couple of cold nights. To have had to do this through the winter, in challenging conditions, I think really would have made all of our achievements pale into insignificance. I think we have achieved some successes. Just a sample of the things that we have undertaken and that we have done. So the dyeing, the fire lighting, the building of the clay oven there, the various styles of bread making and flour.
And 300 children who've been able to access it.
Really? Was there as many as 300 children?
300 children have been through sharing our experience, albeit perhaps only for a morning. But they've all had a go at some of those skills and been able to, hopefully, both learn a little bit more about Celtic life, but also about themselves in doing those tasks.
I've also been fascinated by all the people who've actually come into us through Twitter and Facebook. It's some really great ideas. Really great. We had calls from America, as we said earlier in the week. We had calls from Crete, and we're delighted. Look at our hands. We're delighted that somebody's coming home from Crete, giving us hand cream, bringing it all the way out.
No. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's an olive oil soap.
Oh.
That has been made in the traditional method. Which they're keeping secret.
Not more pig fat.
No more pig
I have no idea.
No
But
more
it's
pig fat.
it's coming all the way from Crete. So there's a special delivery from Crete in order to try to...
Coming in on a trireme, is it?
But the oven worked really well, didn't it, Chris?
It has, but I think with a few modifications, I think we could certainly improve on our initial design. I think in principle, the whole thing worked really, really well.
In which case, Monday morning? 8 o'clock?
No time like the present.
But I tell you
Push on through Saturday and
What I
Sunday.
couldn't believe, though, is how much wood it's taking to actually heat it up to actually do the cooking. I mean, it does take an awful lot of wood. Okay, so what are we looking forward to now, Richard? You've done 4 days as a Celt. You're now going to go back to the 21st century. What are you looking forward to most this evening?
A hot bath. A glass of something.
Right.
Probably Panda Pop or something of that kind.
Absolutely, yeah, of course.
And a good night's sleep.
What about Chris? What about you?
I have no idea.
I'll tell you what I've missed. I've missed being able to sit on a chair. I've missed being able to
think
work
you're
at a
right.
table. That has been really the hardest thing to come to terms with. I really need to look to see whether there's anything else that we can do. But working on these pieces of log, like the ones we're sitting on now, it is quite hard to do, bending down all the time like that. I've missed also not having any chocolate and
Especially
sugar.
this time of the year.
Yeah. That's really. But I probably haven't missed the news. And I haven't missed helping with the homework.
Oh, gosh, I'm going to go back to my teenage son. I'm looking forward to that, helping him with his
Well,
homework.
in light of things that I would like to be looking forward to going back to, obviously it would be nice to go back to see my own children.
Yep.
And I think probably, after listening to you, Alan, I think furniture. I think, the times that I've been standing there with things in my hand and there isn't anywhere to
Just
put them down.
yeah,
Sure.
And a time when you just think, it's just nice to have a little sit down and rest, but there isn't really anything to sit down and have a rest on. So, having seen a number of sort of Celtic and Iron Age settlements in the past, I think living it has enabled me to develop a much greater understanding of the lifestyle than just standing as a spectator and looking at something that somebody else has done.
Well, I really am looking forward, though, to creating the experience for children coming in to work with us, to look at the Celts, to look at the earlier civilizations. And having experienced it myself, I think that probably we can give them activities, and very successful activities too, that we can do for them or with them, and they can go away with a sense of achievement, and also at the same time come away with the same feeling as that we have, that it takes so much time to do things, to make a loom, to weave the wool, to spin the wool, to dye the wool, and to know that you've got to have a very high skill base to do it. I think that it's been vested. It's a lovely area to work in, and I'm looking forward to seeing the area develop even more as we provide this opportunity for children here at Hooke Court. But it's been great, Richard.
Yep.
Great,
Thank you,
Chris. Not as much sleep as we wanted to do.
Sheep,
Sheep. We got a couple of lambs. Not too much sheep. But we look forward, and we hope that those of you who've been looking in on the videos and looking in on the Facebook and talking to us on Twitter have enjoyed the time looking in, and you perhaps too got a sense of what Celtic life might have been like, and what opportunities there are for children who would come to a centre like Hooke to live a life as a Celts. Thanks so much for looking in, and we look forward to seeing you when we're a little bit cleaner and a lot less smelly.
I was going to say, I think at this stage of the game, we really just need to give ourselves the weekend, just to kind of rest, relax, and recover. And then I think what we might do is come back at the beginning of next week and record something, just to try and reflect with a little bit more sort of with a degree more organisation on our experiences here, because it does very much feel as if it's been an extremely intense week. And I just I couldn't put my finger on the best parts, the worst parts, what I've learned, what I realised I didn't know at this stage of the game. But I think maybe with a bit of reflection, that time would be really well spent. And
we look forward to it. Goodbye to everybody. Thank you for looking. Bye bye.